Jungle.
Alright, so it's 33 minutes past 9. I welcome you to Monday. I welcome you to New Week. I welcome you to another exciting edition of From the Newspaper, streaming live from the premises of the DSC's Hotel, Akpete, Ibadan. Good morning to you all. We are listening to MFM 97.3, where we set the agenda and project the truth. And don't forget, you can watch us live on Facebook at MFM 97.3. And as you're watching us, do well to like, comment, and share. Moreover, don't forget this program is in form of 3 segments. The first segment is the weather forecast reports of 3 major cities in Nigeria: the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, the commercial city of Lagos, and the vibrant city of Ibadan. Where the second segment of the show is the headlines, make round of Nigerian newspaper. And as usual, let's bring 4 newspapers to you every morning: the Punch newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, the Guardian newspaper, and the Nigerian Tribune. Where the last segment on the show is the details to the headlines. My name is SHAQEEROH AKINYEMI. So moving on to the first segment of the show, which is the weather forecast report. Our first city I'm bringing on is the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. At 10 a.m. in Abuja this morning, it's cloudy with 23 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m. it's mostly cloudy with 24 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m. it's intermittent clouds with 25 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m. it's intermittent cloud with 27 degrees Celsius. And at 2 p.m. it's intermittent cloud with 26 degrees Celsius. At 3 p.m. it's intermittent cloud with 26 degrees Celsius. At 4 p.m. it's mostly cloudy with 25 degrees Celsius. At 5 p.m. it's thunderstorms with 25 degrees Celsius. And at 6 p.m. it's thunderstorms with 24 degrees Celsius. At 7 p.m. it's thunderstorms with 23 degrees Celsius. And at 8 p.m. it's intermittent cloud with 23 degrees Celsius. At 9 p.m. it's partly cloudy with 22 degrees Celsius. At 10 p.m. it's clear with 22 degrees Celsius. At 11 p.m. it's mostly clear with 22 degrees Celsius.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so moving on to the commercial city of Lagos. At 10 a.m. in Lagos this morning, it showers with 27 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m. it's mostly cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m. it's mostly cloudy with 28 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m. it's mostly cloudy with 28 degrees Celsius. At 2 p.m. it's mostly cloudy with 28 degrees Celsius. At 3 p.m. is rain with 28 degrees Celsius. And at 4 p.m. is showers with 29 degrees Celsius. At 5 p.m. is cloudy with 28 degrees Celsius. And at 6 p.m. is cloudy with 28 degrees Celsius. At 7 p.m. is cloudy with 28 degrees Celsius. And at 8 p.m. is cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. Up until 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. with 27 degrees Celsius. So moving on to the last city on the first segment, which is the vibrant city of Ibadan, where we are streaming live from. At 10 a.m. in Ibadan this morning is rain with 26 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m. is cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m. is cloudy with 28 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m. is cloudy with 29 degrees Celsius. And at 2 p.m. is thunderstorms with 28 degrees Celsius. At 3 p.m. is thunderstorms with 27 degrees Celsius. And at 4 p.m. is cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. Up until 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and 11 p.m. with 24 degrees Celsius.
Jungle.
So moving on to the second segment on the show, which is the headlines making round of Nigerian newspaper. And the first newspaper we're bringing on is the Punch newspaper. And the lead story on the Punch newspaper this morning says, marketers fears fuel price hike as Pengassan strike begins. And page 49 has the details to that story. And there are 2 riders to that story. The first rider says, our union order shutdown of power plants, alleged military foiled, crude supply stoppage. And last rider says, TUC threatens strike, members on standby, federal government intervenes to meet Pengassan today. And page 48 has the details to that stories. the Punch newspaper this morning says, Christians not endangered or marginalized. Federal government tackle critics. And page 7 has the details to that story. Adamawa HDC gives Atiku ultimatum to pick membership card. And page 7 has the details to that story. Story on the Punch newspaper says petrol export is 371 billion naira aimed heavy import reliance, and page 56 has details to that story.
Audio Jungle. Another story says pro-Wike lawmakers absent at Fubara's Independence Thanksgiving, and page 9 has the details to that story. Osun PDP, ADC clash as federal government releases local government allocation, and page 8 has the details to that story. Punch newspaper, another story says police rescues traffic Ghanaians, arrest 5 in Ogun, and page 5 has the details to that story. And the last story on the Punch newspaper says 2027 NDA warns politician against personal attack, and page 8 has the details to that story. So moving on to the Vanguard newspaper, and the latest story on the Vanguard newspaper this morning says toxic harvest as adults pesticide arms food production, says export, and page 19 has the details to that story. Audio Jungle. On the Vanguard newspaper says no genocide against Christians in Nigeria, says federal government, and page 8 has the details to that story. Audio Jungle.
INEC disclosed details of selection process for Yakubu's successors, Serap asks Tinubu, and page 9 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle. Jonathan will contest return to SHAQEEROH in 2027 on PDP's ticket, says Jerry Ghana, and page 13 has the details to that story. Story says Nigeria's sovereign bleeding at 65, says Raphael Obiora, and page 14 has the details to that story.
As strikes begins today, federal government wades into Dangote's Pengassan face-off. In page 5 has the details to that story. And there are two riders to that story. The first rider says Dangote blasts Pengassan, and the last rider says only recall of member can stop strike, says Pengassan. In page 5 has the details to that story. Editors to security agencies stop misusing cybercrime acts against journalists, and page 8 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Custom commences one-stop shop cargo clearance, and page 9 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Another story on the Vanguard newspaper says Ponzi security raises alarm over AI generated investment scams, and page 9 has the details to that story. To the Guardian newspaper. The latest story on the Guardian newspaper says Nigeria risks 14.7 billion naira daily loss. Fuel crisis at Dangote Pengassan rifts deepen, and page 5 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
On the Guardian newspaper says insecurity. ADC says Tinubu unqualified to seat UNSC seat, and page 3 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Federal government orders urge unity shared responsibilities as 65th Independence Service, and page 3 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Guardian newspaper, another story says Osun North PDP query federal government demand details of released local government funds, and page 8 has the details to that story. Says punishing suicide attempts undermines mental health reform, and page 8 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Security warns of AI investment scams targeting Nigerians, and page 4 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Other story on the Guardian newspaper says resident doctor issue federal government 30 days ultimatum over unmet demands, and page 9 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Bandits kills 10, kidnap Sarah Inquirer, and page 5 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
government dismisses religion terrorism allegation in page 45 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
To the last newspaper on the second segment, which is Nigerian Tribune. And the latest story on Nigerian Tribune this morning says federal government has paid Osun State's local government allocation into APC's members' account. Not revealed in page 18 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
There are three riders to that story. The first rider says, describe action as scary, unprecedented. And the other rider says, APC slams not, says the allocation were paid into local government council accounts. And the last rider says, PDP challenged the APC to disclose accounts into which local government allocation were paid. And page 18 has the details to that stories. Nigerian Tribune this morning states federal government summoned Penga Sounds Dangote to reconciliation meeting, and page 19 has the analysis to that story. To that story that says, as TUC mobilizes affiliates for nationwide action, in page 19 has the details to that story. Other story on the Nigerian Tribune says, Dangote refinery. Lawless Pengasan, its lies and terror tactics, and page 2, 3, and 4, and 5, all the analysis to that stories. Nigeria faces reduced numbers of banks as makers' accusation pressure intensifies, and page 7 has the details to that story. Still on Nigerian Tribune, that story says NDLEA arrests 2 drug kingpins with consignment of cocaine, heroin mix in Lagos, and page 27 has the details to that story. Other story says over 90% of Nigerians still uninsured despite NHIA Act, says Falano, and page 19 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Other story says security operative rescue hits kidnapped victims in Kongi, and page 27 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
second segment this morning says, Obaladoja unfold economic plan for Ibadan land. In page 16 has the details to that story. Are there a lot of riders to that story? The first rider says, assures local foreign investors for enabling environment. Says Ibadan and all religions crisis. Let this coronation be the beginning of a new resilience for Ibadan. Says Awolowo Dosumo. In page 16 has the details to that stories. Come to the end of the second segment. Before we divert into the last segment, let's go on a break. Stay tuned, I'll be right back.
Audio Jungle.
Torí wọ́n jẹ́ ẹni tó ní bẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run lọ́kàn gidi gan-an ni. Ẹ bá wọn dòwò pọ̀ kẹ́ ẹ lè jàǹfààní wọn ni. Èmi èjìrí ọ̀kí ló ń kéde léyìí sí gbogbo etí ọmọ aráyé pátápátá. Ẹ jẹ́ bá AM FM dòwò pọ̀ ká lè sórí ire nítọ́rẹ́ni tá a bá ń fẹ́ l'Ẹlẹ́dùmarè máa fẹ́.
ìgbà tó tó bá ní ṣe baálé ọba gbọ́migbọ́mi kọ̀ǹkọ̀ tó tún kọ̀ǹkọ̀ ní ṣe ọba wọn lálẹ́ odò ó jẹ́ tìròyìn tó kojú owó orin tó dùn ún gbọ́ létí àṣà ẹ̀fẹ̀ àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ ìṣítí lọ́lọ́kanjọ̀kan ìkànnì AM rédíò ọba ló jẹ́ láwùjọ rédíò. tọ́ni gbogbo ọ̀yà ni ó mọ ẹpẹ́ra rẹ̀ lódù bó bá jẹ́ níbi tí kẹ́báni ra mọ́tò láti òkè òkun tàbí ó fẹ́ ra ojúlówó mọ́tò ilé tí ó dá lọ́dọ̀ pẹ́ iléeṣẹ́ mọ́tò Onabis Automobile òní oyè àkànṣí eléyìí tó kalẹ̀ sí kìlómítà 8 Old Ife Road àdójúkọ ilé ìtajà àgbàlódé Bread sọ́ọ̀mì nílẹ̀ Ìbàdàn bóyá ẹ̀yin fẹ́ ra mọ́tò tàbí ẹ fẹ́ gbé mọ́tò rẹ́sẹ̀ láti orílẹ̀ òkèrè sórílẹ̀-èdè wa Nàìjíríà kódà orí ọ̀fẹ́ wà láti bá yín ṣe àmójútó láti bá yín ṣe àyẹ̀wò sí mọ́tò yín iléeṣẹ́ Onabis Automobile ohun gẹ́gẹ́ ni mò ń pè níyàn ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ wọn ni 0803 371 0636 0803 371 0636 Onabis Automobile boom 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 boom.
so welcome back to the show. It's still from the newspaper. Don't forget to go watch us live on Facebook at MFM 97.3 and watching us. Do well to like, comment, and share. We are now in the last segment of From the Newspaper this morning, which shows the details to the headlines. And first, our bringing on this morning says, marketers fear fuel price, hikes as Pengassan strikes begin. Nigeria may face tougher days ahead as the nationwide strike declared by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Association staff of Nigeria begin from today, threatening to unleash the twins blow at soaring petrol price and the widespread electricity blackouts. The union directive to the hot crude oil and gas supplies to the Dangote Petroleum Refinery has sent a shockwave through the energy sector, with oil marketers warning the several disruption in the fuel distribution. This move is expected to choke the domestic market, driving up demands and price. Compounding the crisis, power generation companies have announced a complete shutdown for the thermal plants, a direct fallout to the strike. With the thermal station producing more than 70% of Nigerian power supply, the development threatening the plunge to the nation into darkness, crippling economic activities and plugging millions of households and businesses into deeper strain, unless the federal government intervenes. On Sunday, Pengassan announced the nationwide strike, instructing all its members in the various offices, companies, institutions, and the agency to cease all service starting 12:01 a.m. on Monday, September 29, 2025. The union also directed member stations in the various field locations to the down tools at 6 o'clock a.m. on Sunday, September 28, and commenced the round-the-clock player video. The emergency decision followed the sack of over 800 Nigerian workers at the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. In a strongly wordly resolution signed by the Pengassan General Secretary, Lamumba Okogua, the union accused the refinery of violating Nigeria's labor law and international labor organization convention by sacking workers for joining the union. It alleged the dismissed workers has been replaced by the foreigners. The union also accused military personnel for blocking its members from cutting gas supply to the facility. Speaking on channel television on Sunday, Pengassan President Festus Osifo confirmed that the Minister of Labour and Employment, Muhammadu Dangiyi, has summoned a meeting between both parties for Monday. Similarly, the Executive Secretary of the Association of Power Generation Companies, Joy Ogaji, raised the alarm that gas suppliers and instructed GenScos to halt production.
Audio Jungle.
Adamawa ADC gives Atiku ultimatum to pick membership card. The African Democratic Congress has issued an ultimatum to the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, from Secretary to the Government to the Federation, Babachir Lawal, and other prominent figures in the party to register at their respective ward before the end of this year or risk losing recognition as a membership. Speaking in exclusive to the Punch in Yola, the Adamawa State Chairman of the Vice ADC, Shehu Yona, said the party has unveiled its membership register, stressing that only those who with valid membership card would be acknowledged. Last Thursday, the National Publicity Secretary of the ADC, Bolaji Abdullah, reaffirmed the caucus resolution that all coalition members resign from their current parties and register fully with the ADC, a directive dismissed in a consequential by both APC and PDP. Atiku much publicized membership registration, initially scheduled for August in his hometown of Jeddah, was suspended indefinitely last month without explanation. The Punch gathered that the former vice president is waiving his chances for clinching the ADC's presidential ticket, particularly in the light in the growing influential Peter Obi's political movement within the party. Yohana dismissed the ruling All Progressive Congress and the opposition People Democratic Party as incapable of defeating the ADC in 2027 general election. He added that the ADC boasts politically influential figure and is prepared to wrest power from APC administration. Osun PDP, APC clash as federal government released local government allocations. The Osun State chapter of All Progressive Congress on Sunday confirmed that the federal government has released the withheld 6-month allocation for the state's local government areas. The APC, however, denied that the funds were paid into the private account of the council chairman elected on the platform of the APC in October 2022,
However, the ruling PDP, which said is not aware of the payment, demanded that the APC disclose the details of the account the funds were paid into. The PDP wondered how the federal government will release the fund into bank accounts or know of the State Accountant General, Auditor General for the local government, and Minister of Local Governments. The clash between the two parties comes after the Union of Local Government Employees accused the federal government of illegally releasing the withheld 6-month allocation into the APC. Speaking on behalf of the union on Sunday, NORTH Chairman Dr. Nathana Ogunbade said the union has confirmed the federal government paid the March, August 2025 allocation into the account illegally opened by the APC chairman and councillors despite pending account cases. He specifically accused the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, the Accountant General of Federation, Babatunde Ogunjimi, and the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi-San, and abusing their offices of the facilitating the release, paying local government allocation into private open and illegal bank accounts of politicians is unbelievable, brazen and unprecedented in the history of public administration in Nigeria. Ogunbere recalled that a federal high court had on May 15, 2025 ordered parties to maintain the status quo, an order he said acknowledged by the Central Bank of Nigeria, which initially withheld payments. Reacting to the revelation and the administration by the APC, Osun PDP called on the APC to disclose the accounts into which the allocation were paid and the signatories of the accounts. In a statement on Sunday by its chairman, Sunday APC, the PDP described the release of funds into the APC as a crime against the people of the Osun State.
Audio Jungle.
Police rescues trafficked Ghanaian, arrest 5 in Ogun. In a concert across-border operation, the Nigeria Police Force has rescued a 24-year-old Ghanaian from a human trafficking syndicate and arrest 5 suspects, comprising both Ghanaian and Nigerian national in Ofada, Ogun State. The operation was carried out by the operative of the International Police Annex Force Criminal Investigation Department, Aladun, Lagos, following a formal request from Interpol Accra. The police disclosed in a statement signed by the Force Police Relations Officer Benjamin Odoyin on Sunday. The statement noted that the victim and his father were allegedly lured into Nigeria in July 2025 by one Azana by a 25-year-old Ghanaian woman residing in Ofada under the disguise of the facilitating travel to Canada. The suspects the police disclosed allegedly obtained 40,000 cedis, approximately to 4,960,000 for the supposed travel arrangements. Upon arrival in Nigeria, police had the victim's Ghanaian passport and mobilized phone were allegedly confiscated, and they were consigned into the engaging in activities linked in fraudulent online trading platform. After receiving the assistance request from the Interpol Accra on September 15, 2025, the police disclosed that the special team tracked the victim culminating in their rescue on September 16, 2025 in Ogun State. The operation in the statement disclosed leads to the arrest of the principal suspect of 4 complaints, Odubisi Daud, Nigerian, Yaya Salisu, Ghanaian, Sherifa Aruna, Ghanaian, and Ebenezer Ofosu, Ghanaian, reaffirming the force's commitment to regional collaboration in the fight against the human trafficking and transnational crime. The statement added that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, applauded the operative for their professionalism. The Inspector General further assured that the General Public's international partner alike that no criminal syndicate operating across border would escape the long arm of the law. The Punch Metro reported a similar breakthrough in August 2025 after police in Akwa Ibom State rescued 20 Ghana trafficking into Uyo following a formal request from the Ghana Police Service and Interpol. In July 2025, a Ghanaian scammed Idrisu was rescued in Abuja after being lured under the false promise of foreign employment. Nepal imposes travel ban on ex-Prime Minister over protest violence. Nepal has imposed travel ban on ex-Prime Minister Sharma Oli and 4 former senior officers as a part of an investigation into deadly unrest earlier this month, the Interior Minister said on Monday. Youth-led protests that began on September 8, 2025, a brief social media ban, economic hardship and corruption quickly moved into nationwide fury after the deadly crackdown. 2 days of violence left at least 73 people dead. The parliament and government officers were bound down and the force of the government collapsed. In addition to Holi, travel ban has been placed on former Home Minister Ramesh Lekha, former head of the National Investigation Department, Security Agency, Otaji Tepa, and the other senior bureaucrats. Interim Prime Minister Saleh Akaki, who is leading the Himalayan National Unity election in March 2026, set up a commission to probe the violence. The restrictions were commended Sunday by the commission. The Federal of Nepalese Chamber of the Commerce and Industry estimated the private sector, including automobile, hotel, and retail industries, endured losses worth $600 million. Former Prime Minister Oli has blamed infiltrators for reciting the bloodshed and alleged travel used in the protests came from another source.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so before moving on, let's go on a short break. Stay tuned, I'll be right back. Network.
lórí Twitter @MFM-TV, lórí Instagram @MFM-TV, pẹ̀lú YouTube @MFM-TV. Ilé ìtura The Ace Hotel lápẹ́tẹ́ nílùú Ìbàdàn lákàlẹ̀ sí o. Fún ìpolówó ọjà iléeṣẹ́ yín ẹ lè pè wá sórí nọ́mbà wọ̀nyí o: 081591942 àti 47. Ẹ tún lè pè wá sórí aago yìí o: 080224841 pẹ̀lú 24 ni ẹ pè sí o. Mọ́mí àti dádì ẹ̀dọ̀wọ́ MFM ni ẹ mọ́ gbọ́ lójoojúmọ́ nígbà gbogbo.
gbogbo náà gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ lè sọ ní gbọ́ ọba wọn fẹ́ gbọ́ mi dára tó ìfẹ́ máa rí ọ̀hún dára AMU àti oníkọ́ ọmọ tọ́wọ́ ti débẹ̀ gbogbo ibi kí ló fi sórí ya wà bá wọn pàdé wo májè tán májè kébi kú bí ọ̀tọ̀ ọ̀la yìí o èmi ni ó ṣe bí ó sọ òní ọgbọ́n AMU àti iléeṣẹ́ tó ní àbá àdéjẹ́ àgbà ló pọ̀ mí o sàlámà ni.
AFM fún ìdárayá ètò àsìkò ìkọ́nilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ìgbà gbogbo AFM ní kẹ́ ẹ máa ń gbọ́ ẹ má gbé kúrò níbẹ̀ nígbà gbogbo. ẹni tó bá ní tó tí ò yó ẹni tó bá ráyọ̀ tí ò yọ̀ ọjọ́ tí ò pẹ́ ní sunra rẹ̀ láwọ̀ ara. AFM ló ní kẹ́ ẹ ní tó kẹ́ ẹ jó kẹ́ ẹ ráyọ̀ kẹ́ ẹ sì máa yọ̀. AFM ni ẹ máa gbọ́ ni ẹ máa wò nígbà gbogbo.
So welcome back to the show. It's still from the newspaper. Another story says, Shehu Sani urged Dangote Refinery to reinstate SAC workers. A former lawmaker from Kaduna State, Senator Shehu Sani, has called on the management of Dangote Refinery to immediately reinstate workers allegedly dismissed for joining trade union, describing the move as a violation of constitutional rights and a threat to industrial peace. In a statement shared via its official X handle, formerly Twitter, On Monday, Sani also appealed to the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria to suspend its directive to cut off gas supply to the refinery, warning that such an action could harm national economic interests. The intervention comes amid the growing tension between the refinery management and the organized labor Pengasan, and allegedly that over 800 workers were dismissed for joining the union. An action says the controversial Nigeria labor laws and international convention. The union has since ordered a nationwide shutdown of operation, including gas and crude supply to the refinery, and accused the company to replacing Nigerian workers within over 2,000 Indians, sparking outrage among labor circle and civil society. Dangote Refinery in response accused Pengasan for sabotage and selfish interests, citing its past opposition to reform and privatization efforts. In the company described the strike order as a reckless, lawless, and dangerous, stressing that it was designed to weaponize hardship against Nigeria. It insisted that the dismissal were based on the safety and efficiency concerns, not anti-union victimization, adding that more than 3,000 Nigerians remain unemployed at the facility. Sani, a human rights activist, a former chairman of the State Committee on Local Foreign Debates, emphasized that while the refinery is strategic national asset, it must operate within the framework of Nigerian labor laws and respect workers' rights. With Pengasan's strike action already underway, the operation at the Dangote refinery potentially affected, the federal government has called for the meeting today for a shift resolution to prevent a broader industrial crisis in the country's oil and gas sector. Story on the show this morning says NNPP, NUPRC, NMDPRA short as Pengasan begins strike. The nationwide strike declared by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria today paralyzed operations at key oil and gas regulatory institutions, including the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. The industrial action, which followed the weekend directive by the Union's National Executive Council, saw members across the country withdrawing their service, effectively shutting down the critical agency at the drive Nigeria oil and gas industry. The Punch correspondents observed that the NUPRC headquarters in Abuja, the main gateway was firmly locked, leaving the several employees stand outside the premises. Security operative on duty confirmed that no staff were allowed entry, in the line with the strike directive issued by the union. Similarly, activities at the NMDPRA headquarters in the busy Central Business District were completely grounded as workers fully complied with the industrial action. Confirming the situation, the Pengasan chairman in NMDPRA, Tony Izogba, saw the Punch that the union has achieved 100% compliance, effectively restricting access to staff and visitors. He added that his colleagues has also informed 100% compliance with the NLPCL and other relevant agencies. Pengasan said the strike became inevitable after the alleged wrongful dismissal of about 800 workers at the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. The union directive to halt oil and gas supply to Dangote Petroleum Refinery has sent a shockwave through the agency